I really feel like the world is kind of stacked against us. The negatives, in my opinion, far outweigh the positives.
If you truly wanted to lose weight, but you could fast for a week and you would lose a ton of weight, the problem is that isn't going to help it. You're just going to end up gaining that weight back.
People are saying that their day-to-day life is suffering because they're just not really craving food, so they're eating so little. Their energy levels are worse. Their sex drive is next to none. Their work life is suffering.
And then you'll see that same person 6 months later when they're off cycle, and you see them struggling. You see them doing copious amounts of cardio. You see that they've gained weight. And the problem is on cycle, these people know what to do. They can't lose.
I genuinely believe that accountability is the ultimate steroid.
Are people actually getting healthier, or are we just getting better at buying health products? Real quick, before we jump into today's episode, if we could ask for a tiny favor before we get into today's amazing content. If you haven't left a review for our show on iTunes or Spotify, it would really mean the world if you could take 2 seconds, leave a review, write a few words. We read every single review, so it would truly mean the world to us, and it would significantly help our show. And I know you're thinking, okay, other people can do that. I don't normally do that. But if you could do one small thing for us and take just a couple seconds to leave that review, that will help more people discover this content and become fitter, healthier, and happier. So if you could do that, it would mean so much. Thank you in advance. Now into the episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And we got a jam-packed episode today. We're so excited. A lot of very relevant questions to kind of what's going on right now in the fitness, health, weight loss space. So we're really excited to jump into it. And as always, it's Motivation Monday, formerly Mailbox Monday. The OGs will remember. So we're going to start with the first question out of the mailbag. And that is, are people actually getting healthier, or are we just getting better at buying health products? And this question was awesome to me. It got my brain spinning, because I think as a whole, most people would agree that society is actually getting less healthy. Obesity rates are going up. You're seeing more illness. You're seeing more just excessive indulgence, whether it be just dopamine indulgence, food indulgence. It's getting a little bit crazy, right? And I think the numbers are reflecting that. But at the same time, I think Instagram is more prevalent than ever. Social media is more prevalent than ever. If you go online, you just assume everybody is shredded with a 6-pack and a massive butt and huge biceps and all these different things, and just elite at fitness, right? In such a different world. But I think it's really humbling. Even me and Kyle were saying, when you go into a Walmart, you kind of see just what most people are like, right? Or a grocery store or whatnot. And obviously, I think sometimes if you go certain places, if you're always going to Whole Foods, you're probably going to see more upscale people or more health conscious people. So it's going to promote to that. But I think in general, if you actually look at the world, it's actually not getting healthier. But what I thought was interesting about this question was getting better at buying health products, or even getting better at hiding it, just calling it what it is. Do guys will wear shirts and outfits that have little cuts on them to make your shoulders look bigger and your chest look wider and to kind of tuck everything in. And same with the ladies with the high-waisted shorts and different things. I think more than ever, there's better stuff for it. It's even funny thinking back to when I started. I literally used to buy all my stuff at Value Village. I'd buy cool shirts that I thought were fun, and then I would cut the sleeves off them. And I loved just doing that. To me, that was my gym stuff. I had a couple cool gym shorts, and then Gymshark kind of came out and was kind of the cool thing. Now, obviously it's everywhere, which is pretty nuts, but there's so much content that will go with the contour of your muscles. You got the scrunch butt leggings. It is funny. And I think that's what's funny, health products or fitness products. It is true. And now Ozempic is very much a real thing, right? If you have difficulty sticking to your diet, you can basically take something to avoid a lot of that hunger signaling and really kind of suppress that effect. So I do think more than ever, people are more willing to spend on their health. And I think that is a big positive. That is absolutely awesome. Back in the day, people are confused with what an online coach is. Now I'll often tell people I am an online coach. New people I meet, and they'll be like, oh, I have one of those myself, or I've had one, or I've heard about that. And it's so cool. Whereas in the past, people would be like, oh, what? What do? You do Zoom workouts with someone? So it is really cool to see how that mindset has changed, how people are willing to invest in better gym gear, better nutrition, to try things. And of course, there are going to be people that take shortcuts, like we've spoken previously on this show about how people are definitely taking steroids more than ever, seeing things like Ozempic. People are doing more extreme measures, which is never good. So this is a really fun and nuanced question. I didn't really get into my answer, but I wanted to put some context behind it before I pass it over to Kyle here.
Yeah, I have so many different thoughts on this. And even it's funny because to this day, there are billions of dollars being pumped into the fitness and health space, which is awesome, right? There's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of different products being created, and there's a lot of positives. But at the same time, it's funny. I was talking to Josh and I was just like, honestly, I really feel like the world is kind of stacked against us in a lot of different ways, right? We could talk about, I know it's a side topic, but let's say gambling for men. Like that is a very hard thing for a lot of people. It's just constantly everywhere you look, like no matter what. Even same with like nutrition, right? You know, there are some really good positives. When I go online and I'm on Instagram, there's so many people promoting weightlifting. There's a lot of women getting into the gym, which is amazing. There's a lot of different cool boutique gyms being created, and like there's the sweat and tonic, and then like, you know, I know I knock Pilates, but like there's people looking to become better. There's run clubs, there's healthy food services, delivery to your door. There are so many amazing positives, but just as many positives as there are so many negatives. And honestly, the negatives, in my opinion, far outweigh the positives. And you can look at this in a million different ways, right? You can look at it as, let's say you get flyers delivered to your door. You look through it. Yeah, there can be some good stuff. Yeah, but there's not going to be too much of it. There's going to be a lot worse stuff, which is going to be harder. So odds are stacked against you. You can go into the gas station just with great intentions to go get gas. You look around, there's going to be a small area for protein bars and a couple, zero Gatorade drinks. And then most of the stuff is going to be garbage. You go into the into the grocery store, it's going to be the exact same. So where it's tough is, even though there's a lot being pumped out and a lot of great stuff, and obviously there can be some different things people are having, to obviously, let's just say GLPs, they're trying to, curb their hunger, this and that. But just as much as there's like these different things that are trying to help with it, and a lot of online coaches and a lot of trainers, there's so many other things that are just like fighting you and pulling you in different directions. So I want to get it a bit of a different answer, that over the next few years, if I were to make a prediction, although you would think the stats would lean towards more people being less obese and healthier and this and that. And I think you'll see it from the people who are very loud about it, such as the people with millions of followers and, like just people who are outspoken about it. There will be just as many, if not more, people who are struggling, who are suffering. And I'm not going to get into this now, but the amount of people who also will be depending on some of these products, who will never learn about habits and never learn about how to actually just become disciplined instead of relying on a specific product to make them not feel hungry. I'm telling you, you're going to do well for a bit, but I just really believe in the long-term benefit. And I'm kind of obviously knocking here at, some of these weight loss products, some of these different things. So Ozempic, there's Tarzeppi now. There's a lot of these different things people are just starting to use. So, new studies are even coming out recently that I've been looking into, where people are saying that their day-to-day life is suffering because they're just not really craving food. So they're eating so little, their energy levels are worse, their sex drive is next to none, their work life is suffering. And there's just a lot of things that are going on right now where people are putting a lot of money towards it. And, they're feeling better for a little bit, but it's just the long-term game. I'm just focused on being disciplined, eating the right stuff, moving, and just feeling better. And I know that was kind of a rant, but I just want to talk about my thoughts on this specific subject today.
Yeah, the tried and true will never go out of fad. And that's what's tough, right? Like I have seen some people that I've seen struggle for years and years, and all of a sudden they're really, really skinny. And like, I feel like you can kind of put one and two together, right? And see like, okay, maybe there's Ozempic going on or GLP blockers. I know for a lot of people that really feel they're struggling, they do that and they see some progress. And honestly, I applaud that. I think that's amazing if you can see progress. My problem is like short-term results are like, they're not going to last long term. And that's where I feel like there's more that goes into this than just the surface level of like, oh, just lose some weight. And I've had this argument before, like if you truly wanted to lose weight and needed to lose weight, like you could, and I don't recommend this, do not do this, but you could fast for a week and you would lose a ton of weight, bridge back the calories. But the problem is like that isn't going to help you. You're just going to end up gaining that weight back, and you're going to always need to fast. And just the same, I think for a lot of these people, they're going to lose a lot of weight. They're going to try to transition back to normal life, and they're going to say, oh, this only works when I'm on a GLP. And that's where instead, like I really recommend people learn to establish more balance, really learn 80-20 rule where you can have 80% whole, hearty, healthy foods, learn to eat the proper way, like Kyle said, and also learn how to enjoy yourself, learn how to have some fun, to have a treat, to have a dessert, to go out to dinner with people and still see progress. And that's really what we built the tenets of our program around, because I don't want someone just to succeed when they're with me and they're in the program. I want them for the rest of their life to look at food differently, to understand that they can indeed enjoy themselves, that they don't need to restrict any foods. They don't need to only succeed when they're on GLPs, right? And I think when you have that self-confidence and you understand, like, I can do this, I understand how food affects me, I understand how it fuels me, how it makes me feel the best, it makes it so much easier. So even just going back to this question though, what I will say is I think more than ever, there's more knowledge out there, which is amazing. Like when I started, there wasn't a podcast like this. So like even having this resource is so amazing. And that's where we encourage you to tune in, to get better, to keep listening. And even when I see people in the gym now, like most people's form is solid. They look like they know what they're doing. They're being intelligent. I see a lot less nonsense than I used to when it was like the dark ages, if you will. And it was adorable. Yesterday, there was like two younger girls in the gym and they were like kind of in the corner, just doing like really bad dumbbell curls, like heaving their backs. They looked like pretty young. I don't know. I'm bad with age, but call it 14, 15. It was like cool just to see them in there being active, because I was that person at that same age. And like, you kind of don't know, but I'm sure you within like 2 weeks between TikTok, YouTube, all these different things, they'll be like pros doing high level movements. Like there's so much good instruction out there. And I think it's way more encouraged. Weight training is more accepted. So like on the flip side, like it does seem like people are a lot more willing to be health conscious. And I just think you want to make sure you apply the energy in the right way, right? So instead of saying like, I'm just going to get a GLPs because I'm overweight and I like food, it's like, can I actually start investing in eating better foods and learning about macros and cooking and tracking, and then you'll see some progress. Be like, oh, I didn't need that. I didn't need to jump to that more intense option. Or even better yet, say, hey, I'm going to get a coach. You're going to do all this hard work for me. They're going to build me a routine. They're going to help me with my nutrition. They're going to hold me accountable. They're going to encourage me. They're going to pick me up when I fall down. And like, that is the best investment you can see. And it's great to see people be more receptive towards that. And once again, you can just buy supplements, GLPs, not work out, and just do things so wrong and end up not actually improving your understanding of something. Whereas you can really start to learn, like, how can I fit fitness into my life? And I know we say this every week, but it's because we really, really believe it. So I think people that do get into fitness, to answer the question, are more elite. I think people that actually make an effort to be healthier are becoming healthier than they were before. On the flip side, though, I think as a society, more people are becoming unhealthy than healthy. And that is definitely something that could be improved.
Yeah. And like it all, even I hate to say it and be the person to keep talking about discipline and habits, but it really does come down to that. Even I always talk about, you know, the different things at our fingertips, but like most people, you would say in a perfect situation, okay, I am going to order meal prep, or if I'm going to order something, it's going to be healthy. And then like, let's just say I'm going to knock on Uber Eats. I don't have it. I deleted the app for a reason. I just don't want it. But when it comes down to actually doing the thing, like most of the time, like Josh said, we have all the knowledge. We know that we should be having protein first. We know we should be eating healthy. We know we should be having our greens. Like we know all of this stuff, but the average person just does not actually do it. And once again, if there was only that thing available in front of you, the healthy food, the right option, like we would all do it because that's the only option. It's just there's so many other things out there. So yeah, it's just, it really, to me, I truly believe everybody should be taking a longer term approach to fitness. When I look at my fitness journey, where I want to be, where I'm at, I feel so happy and good that I feel like I can genuinely succeed for the rest of my life while having some of my favorite foods. If I were to go away, I know I can make the right choices. If I like whatever, I could just always be able to do that because of the knowledge, because of the time I've taken to scan products and use barcodes on my Fitness Pal when they allowed me to do it, and like look up the labels when I'm at a grocery store and be able to think about protein first. And I really encourage you. Obviously, if you're listening to this, I feel like you are someone who thinks long-term, but if you can just zoom out for a little bit and think, hey, you know what? I want to make the right choices. I want to just, think about my journey, not just in the next 2 months, but for the rest of my life. You will make such great choices. You won't resort to some of these fads and these short-term measures and these quick fixes that a lot of people are doing, and then they end up being in a worse scenario. So yeah, just one other random thought as I was kind of thinking about health products and short-term gains and everything like that I wanted to share today.
Yeah, so that's a response. And even I mentioned before, like even things like steroids, like people I highly suspect are on steroids, like see them, they'll look amazing. You're like, what the heck? This person looks like a Greek god. It's crazy. Like they look supernatural. And then you'll see that same person 6 months later when they're off cycle and you see them struggling. You see them doing like copious amounts of cardio. You see that they've gained weight. And like the problem is on cycle, these people know what to do. They can't lose. They can eat whatever they want. They just need fuel. They can train for 3 hours. Then when they're off cycle, they can't do that. That's where to me, it's like, you always want to set things up. And we're going to talk about programming on Thursday. But like if I make a routine, it's like 30 sets of exercise. It's very high level exercise that nuke my CNS. And I'm like, I just got to be a beast. I got to toughen through it. I'm destined to fail. Like it's not going to work. Like I'm not going to be able to do that consistently. And just the same, if you're doing anything that is like intermittent in the sense that it only works when you're on steroids, when you're on Ozempic, like that's where I would caution you against it, right? Like, and that's where I think just really learning these fundamentals. And I assure you, if you're listening to this and you're like, but you don't understand, I can't, I'm not consistent. I've tried, I failed. I help people almost every day. Like when someone new comes in the program, they failed 6 different things. They think they're the problem. They think it's impossible for them and they're in some unsolvable situation. And time again, we end up shouting them out on this podcast, our client transformation, because a lot of the time it's just like overlooking something in your own journey and not having accountability, especially. Like accountability is the biggest secret and hack outside of consistency to fitness, because like it just makes it real. It's someone looking over you. It's someone encouraging you. It's someone calling you out. Like you can't put a price tag on that for your results because it really just makes the buy-in so much higher. Whereas like if you just wish something but don't tell anyone, it's just like something in the wind. It's gone. You're not actually going to see that be tangible. So that's where like you really just want to work to become better, to have an understanding of fitness and health, to be able to do things now that you'll do when you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, to do them consistently the rest of your life, even in your 90s. Let's throw it out there, right? So changing that mindset is very freeing. And I think people want to rush to insane results. That is one negative here. So that is one thing you always want to be thoughtful of. And instead just say like, am I actually progressing? Am I going in the right direction? Because if you are doing that, that is a win. Like you're getting better and you're going to consistently get better. And that's going to compound and grow and grow and grow.
I genuinely believe that accountability is the ultimate steroid. It is the ultimate thing that can just really take you from like being okay and just struggling to just really, really honestly feel like you're taking steroids when you have someone looking over your stuff, when you have someone calling you out, when you have someone holding you accountable, when you have someone creating something for you. And it's funny because I am someone who I've done this for so many years. Like even people who we have in our program who've been crushing it for many years, like we go through different phases in our life. You know, we got some even, you know, Jeremy, we shouted out recently, he's now got 2 kids. And like, I think it's so awesome because he's like, hey, I need some support. I need accountability. Even people who are like, they try to fight it sometimes because they are like, oh, I'm disciplined. Oh, I'm good. I don't need it. I can do it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I'm putting my ego aside, even for some things like I'm having Josh hold me accountable for. Like, it's so powerful because it's like, there's just someone there. And it's funny because people will do everything. They'll fight against it, fight. They'll buy this. They'll, you know, invest in this, and they'll do everything but try to get that actual support until it's just like, what are we doing here? You're spending so much on this other stuff that's not even going to produce as much change as having a coach and having someone hold you accountable. So just message us saying fat loss. We will take care of you. We'll guarantee results. We will be that steroid that you need and you want. And I promise you, it'll be the greatest thing you ever do for yourself.
All right. Now we're going to jump into our quotes. We got 2 snappy quotes for today. So I saw this quote and I thought it was absolutely awesome. And it is, rock bottom is a trampoline. So that's a little bit of a belief breaker, right? Because when you're in that pit and you're like, oh, this is impossible. Once again, speaking to that person who's failed 5 different diets, they keep not succeeding, they keep trying and gaining weight, feeling more frustrated, feeling more lost. Like oftentimes I think when it feels like you're like, I'm done here, this is impossible, I can't get over it. I'm sure if you look back at areas in your life, sometimes it's where you see the most momentum, the most spring, or you take it the most serious. Like even for people, they say, I'm tired of failing, and they sign up with us and they're like, oh my gosh, like if I didn't fail so much, much, I wouldn't actually have invested in having a coach because I didn't think that was worth it for me. Then they do it and they're like, this is the best thing in my life. Like I'm seeing such good results. So I think even sometimes when you're feeling discouraged, when you feel like you can't figure it out or it's not working, understand that rock bottom can be a trampoline. I don't want to rant on it too much because I think it's just a really good, simple, snappy quote. So that is my quote for this week.
I've been having some deeper conversations with clients who have some things that have been popping up, and obviously this affects the fitness journey a lot. So we'll have some discussions to how to navigate it, and a lot going on without sharing any of their details. And I find that being there for them and obviously that accountability and just sharing like, hey, you know what, now is the time to double down. Like after a while, they're just like, man, I'm so glad you shared that with me, because it is so easy just to feel like you just want to stop, you want to give up, like life is coming after you. And then when you realize, like, and I say to this to every one of them in different ways based off what they need, I'm like, now is the time we double down. We lock in on nutrition, our workouts, our cardio, we improve our resume, we improve our skills, we take a course, we do all this stuff. I promise you that trampoline will just come. And then, a little bit later, they're like, man, you were so right. Like I was going down a bad path, but like, I'm glad that you shared that with me. So it's been so impactful. Like this advice is so powerful no matter what you go through. And I feel like we all need to hear it. So my quote for today is simple. Like Josh said, snappy quote: hindsight is 2020. And so this one just got me thinking. I've been saying it a lot, but I feel like as I reflect on some of my habits and like some of my tougher points where I'm like pretty hard on myself, a lot of times I just look back and I'm always just like, I beat myself up if I feel like I made the wrong decision. And like, here when I searched it up, it just said, to define the quote, after something happens, it's easy to look back and think the answer was obvious. And I do this so often. So I've just been reflecting on different things that I feel like I can improve on and different things I can just be easier on myself with and, challenge myself with more. And that was one of those things of just like not looking back and being like, man, I should have done this. It's like, you can take these things, you can learn lessons. I really believe we all should, but don't dwell on it. And once again, I'm getting vulnerable here and sharing my own imperfections, because maybe that'll help you guys out as well. But the amount of times I've done that to myself, where let's say I make a mistake on my nutrition journey, or like, let's just say you happen to get injured and all you do is you dwell, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this. It's like, you can't really do much. Like take it as a lesson learned and then just like focus on improving. And I can give you limitless examples of when I've done this to myself, but I'm like really trying hard to just be like, you know what, lesson learned, keep it moving. And I just feel like it feels so much better than just beating yourself up, than dwelling. And then you just end up getting upset with yourself. And then you end up questioning the next decision you make. And it's like, that's just not the way to live life. So that's my quote for today. And I hope it helps you become fitter, healthier, and of course, happier.
And that's our quote and our thoughts for this week. So now we're going to jump into our client shout out. That is my client, Anthony. He absolutely crushed it. When he reached out to me, he was someone I knew locally, and he used to always say like, oh, I got to lock in, man. I'm trying to lose weight. And I was just seeing content of him where he wasn't happy and he was trying to get into a good flow. He said he'd lose a bit of weight, but he needed to take it seriously. And I'm like, bro, sign up. Let me take care of you. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm sure I could do this myself, but I feel like with accountability, it'll really force me into it. And one thing I really push with him too is I'm like, we're not just going to lose weight. We're going to do this the right way. Like, we're actually going to look at what we need to do programming wise to really get your body moving optimally, really address like some ankle and knee things and really just build some lasting strength, work with his physique and really scale from that. But most importantly, have him not just lose weight, but keep it off. Because he said he's lost weight time and time again. He just put it back on. He would cut himself into oblivion because he's a motivated, hardworking guy, and it would work until it didn't, until a social event happened. So we really worked on kind of fixing not only the health aspect of it, but the consistency, the mindset. And in 90 days, pretty effortlessly with a great food satisfaction, he lost 22 pounds, obviously worked incredibly hard and crushed it. And you can see from his photos the change that took place. We put on a ton of muscle through the chest and shoulders. So to lose 20 pounds of fat, gain 10 pounds of muscle, that is a dream. And we're just getting started. Be ready to tune back in for the next set of photos 3 months from now. We take photos every month, but I think that'll be a really good place to showcase it because it's going to be even more shredded and even more jacked. And that's where, like, in the past, he's been saying, oh, I should do this. I should do this. When you pull trigger and you actually make that commitment, you get a coach to lose 22 pounds, to be that much better in 90 days. Text me today at low weigh-in, the first time he's seen 170s in years. Like, it's just awesome to be winning and to learn to do it the right way, to still be able to have fun foods, to go to Korean barbecue with the boys, to have a balance behind it, right? And not do it extreme. And I think he's a perfect example of that. And if you want to lose fat, gain muscle, get your guaranteed results, work with me and Kyle one-on-one, don't miss out. I want to be talking about you on the podcast. I want to be bragging about you, how you signed up, you made that investment in yourself because you knew you deserve it and you saw that change. So if you want this to be you, and it absolutely should, you deserve this, DM me on Instagram saying fat loss to my Instagram, ColossusFit, and I will definitely take great care of you. Now we're going to jump into our second weekly question, and that is, if your watch says you slept poorly but you feel fine, should you trust the data or your body?
Oh, this is a great question. I love data. Let me start by saying that. I talk about data. We use spreadsheets. We use measurements. I've got my Apple Watch on here, but this is the one stat, and this is where it's so tough. In my personal opinion, I have just learned to focus on what I can control with this. I'm getting a little bit deeper on this, but I have not kept track of sleep and I have not looked at it. My watch doesn't, showcase it. I've got like an older one and I feel great. And so I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I think sometimes, and I know people to this day who get really, really deep into some of this stuff where, their watches and their devices will tell them to push to a certain threshold and like only go to the gym on this day. And it kind of gets a little bit deep with that and you can start to overthink things. I've been under the belief for many years, especially as, things happen and, we'll play volleyball. And like, if I were to check in today, I'd probably say, don't do all this leg stuff. But to me, I'm at a point, even like after having a baby and like having some not so great sleep nights, and I'm like, you know what, if I get too deep into like the nuances and the smaller things and like, what I should but on paper be doing, I'm going to just want to skip things. It's going to be tougher. Then I'm going to only push to this threshold. So I'm like, you know what, my goal here is just to do everything I can and just do it to the best of my possibility on that given day. And I just don't overthink things, whether it was a bad sleep or whether, whatever the case happened. The number one thing I can control always, and we were talking about this yesterday, is the time I go to bed. So I know that if I go to bed by 10 and I'm getting up somewhere around 6 or a little bit before, I'm someone, by the way, that I cannot go back to bed. So sometimes I'll just start to wake up around 5:30, and instead of laying there, I'm like, okay, I'm getting up. My mind's running. I cannot go back. So, okay, I'm going to get up there. So those are the two things I can control, right? Like getting up is like, it is what it is, 5:36, 6:15, whatever the case is. And if I can get to bed by 10, like it doesn't matter to me as much if I were to look through like how the sleep went. Like I know I have all the sleep habits in place. I know that I'm doing everything I can, and that's all I can control. Let's just keep moving forward. I just feel like if I were to be looking at these things and it feeling okay, and then I look at the data and it says, Kyle, you did not sleep perfect, you should not do this much today, I'll start to feel it instead of just tell myself I'm fresh, I'm ready to go, I'll do the best I can and just keep moving forward. And that's my honest thoughts on that question.
Yeah, people become so data hungry and they'll say, oh, my sleep tracker said I had a bad sleep. Like, I feel amazing, but I guess I shouldn't train today. Like, to me, that's insane. Like, I think the best metric of how you feel is how you feel. I think we all know how we feel and we don't listen to our body enough, and our body will actually give us a ton of signals. I love data, like Kyle said. I love trackers. I love having additional tools to help assist me in that. But ultimately, if I feel hungry, I'm hungry. At the same time, with my fitness pal, what's nice is I can override that sometimes, where I can be starving or feel like I'm starving. I look at my calories. I'm like, oh, I hit all my calories. Perfect. And I'm at maintenance and I go, okay, realistically, it's 8 p.m. I'm watching sports. I'm bored. I'm not hungry. I just want something yummy, right? So that's where data can sometimes help even that much more. But I do find some people will say, oh, my sleep score is low, so I'm not training. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to be miserable all day. Like, that's where actually I don't even track my sleep. Like, I'd rather not know, especially with having kids. Like, I love tracking, but I don't want something making me think every single day, like, you're undersleeping, you have sleep debt. And I remember that from my Whoop experiment. It would say sleep debt, make this up. And like, sometimes it's not realistic. And I focus more on what is realistic. Like Kyle said, getting to bed on time, having good sleep quality, cutting off caffeine, being in a cool, dark space, all of these great things that I know actively do matter and will help me. So I focus more on that. And I think there's been times too where I've had a bad sleep, but I felt good that day. And I've found my way through that day. I tried to get to bed early as I could the next day within reason. I think sometimes too, people will be so sleep deprived and then they'll be like, oh, I need to get to bed super early and sleep a super long time. They put more pressure on it and then they can't fall asleep. And it just becomes such a mess. So the best thing you can do is try to stabilize and have a consistent time you get to bed. Try to have a consistent-ish time you get up in the morning, get some sunlight, do all those best practices. And these trackers can be good. They can give you conception. You can kind of see your averages. They can give you a kick in the pants. But ultimately, I really think we should listen more to our bodies for some of the signals that come up.
Yeah, and if anything just causes you to start to like overthink things and overanalyze, like I said, data, do all of that great stuff. Awesome. But it just, I know so many people who will get like really deep into something and then it just really affects like, they're paying so much attention to it and it affects like, what they actually end up doing. And it was pretty cool. Like we had this journal in the past and I remember it would get us to give us prompts, but I remember specifically Josh, there was a time where he would just like write down some prompts like, I feel refreshed, I feel great, like kind of just like, telling yourself in the morning that. And I know it sounds like kind of, woo woo like here and there, but I can promise you there have been times where the watch or device would say something and I've just told myself like I've kind of blocked it out and I felt great. Like Josh said, like times where, you should be tired and you just feel amazing after. So I really just like even the positivity of it, because when you start to see some numbers, it can really mess with you, even if it's like, your body's feeling great. So that's where I'm just like, it's all good. Go to bed at the right time, do everything else I can, and then I'm good to go and just stay super consistent with everything else.
All right, now into our third and final question in today's episode. How do you stay fit when groceries, life, kids, mortgages, and stress all feel more expensive and demanding than ever?
Yeah, great question. And something that is obviously very important to everybody listening to this, right? And the biggest thing I'm going to have to say, and this is something people don't love probably, but to me, it all comes down to priorities, right? Like I had talked recently about looking through credit card statements and you can see what you value. It's funny because, experiences are great. I truly believe they are powerful, but a lot of people who will say, for example, oh, well, my priority is health. And then like they'll put $0 towards it. But then like the newest Taylor Swift concert will be like $1,200 tickets or like little things, like obviously that's kind of extreme and stuff. But I just really think when you sit down and you really value it, you'll find a way. And I have such good experience in my clients as well, just with, just choosing the right stuff. So for example, you don't have to be going to Whole Foods. You could just shop in bulk somewhere else. Like you can find ways, and when you actually think about it and when you can make it work and it just means something to you, like you'll find a way and you'll make it work. You'll budget accordingly. You make it make sense to yourself. And just, I really do believe, and like it has to, the point I'm trying to get across is it has to mean something to the point where you understand that it is valuable. So I talk to a lot of people who just don't see value in like, they're like, oh, well, there's cheap food that I could buy for $3 and then the healthy food is $7. So like whatever, like I know those are low numbers, but they're just like, you know what? The cheap food's just better. It's cheaper, right? But when you can zoom out and say, hey, my health is important. My kids' health's important. Everybody around me, their health is important. I know that when I have my gym membership, yes, it's, certain amount each month. Yes, the food bill might be a little bit more, but I really value my health and I value this over anything because I need to be here. I need to be my best. And you start to look at it that way, the numbers don't matter as much. And if you can cut out a lot of the nonsense, and this is a little bit tough for me to say because it's a little bit more uncomfortable, but the amount of people I've had a conversation with, and I've seen like between close friends, between family members, they will say something specifically like, oh, well, the $11 meal preps, like, there's just too much. So I can't do it. And then we'll be talking and they'll be like, yeah, but like I went to this restaurant last night and it was like really cool. Like, the drinks were actually really fancy and fun. And I'm like, I've had this happen, I promise you, 100 times from different people. And so the point I'm trying to get across is that when you value it and when you make the right choices, it's possible. But the amount of people who will have credit card statements of Uber Eats for $350 a month, but then and that's probably on the low end, but then not be able to pay for the right groceries for the stuff that's going to help them out, it's just mind blowing. So that's a tough answer for me to say, but I really do believe it. And I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm so glad Kyle shared that. And I know it might be hard to hear. And I understand if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, that's great, but you don't know my situation. It's impossible. And I absolutely think like some situations are going to be way harder. They're going to be way more difficult. There's going to be more barriers. And I think instead of like playing a game of like whose situation is the worst, you need to say, how can I win in my situation, right? Like even like, let's say you really are on a fixed income, you don't have a ton of money, you could really just say, okay, well, I'm going to try to eat the best food I can in bulk. And you can bulk buy massive bags of rice, potatoes. You go to the butcher and buy a ton of your beef and freeze it, a ton of your chicken and freeze it. You could move to cheaper meats instead of really expensive meats. You could also explore like finding the most budget friendly gym membership. You could also try to get involved in a community there, so that can be some of your social space. Like, it's all priorities. And time again, like Kyle said, I've seen people that say, I have no money to invest in good food. It's crazy. And I see them at these concerts for $500, right? And we all need to live. We all need to have life. I just think we will prioritize very often like quick dopamine, like going to a bar, going to events, which experiences are so good, so that's what's hard. Or let's say designer buying fancy clothes and all these different things, but they won't spend that on themselves. Like, to me, it's an investment. Just like you invest your money, when you feel your best, when you operate your best, when you're happy, when you're at peace with your journey, when your fitness is there, like, not only are you saving money long term on your fitness and health, but you're becoming a better version of yourself, and you're carrying that swagger with you as you go around. Like, when you felt your best physically, being in your best shape of your life, like, you just walk taller, you're more confident. Like, it just really, you feel better as well. You have less indigestion, you sleep better, and like, that carries so much benefit. And just the same, like the wedding example, we have had so many amazing people who have hired us to get them ready for their weddings, and they have looked insane. They're like, I'm so glad I did this. Then there's other people who won't do that, and they'll spend a ton of money on flowers and a DJ. I just think people need to prioritize their health more, going back to what we said previously, because that is where you'll feel the best. Just the same, people will say, oh, I can't have a coach, but then they'll go do like Ozempic, they'll get Botox in their face, they'll go do some other enhancements, they'll spend $1,000 on skincare. And it's like, you want to fix the root problem here. You want to just feel better. You want to learn to be a healthier person so you can actually feel and look your best, and not just do that through other ways. So it is a little bit of a call out, but I think it's something to reflect on, right? And once again, everyone has different situations, and this will look different for everyone. But I do think you need to start saying, like, how can I invest in myself? Like Kyle said, eating healthy doesn't mean going to Whole Foods, right? It means eating better food. And you can do that relatively inexpensive based on different things. Like, maybe you can't afford fancy meal preps and you have to start cooking on Sunday, and you bulk cook. Like, there's always solutions if you look for them, and there's always excuses also if you look for them.
Yeah, and I just feel like if you choose the right stuff, it does make it easier. Like, let's just say rice as an example for the side, or even like recently I bought chicken, but it was like a massive thing of it. I froze some of it, and it's just like, to me, that when you compare it, like, even as an example, like a lot of the people that I talk to, they'll have a harder time doing it. But then you compare it, like, I'll always use it as an example. Okay, if I were to order Uber Eats right now, it would be $40 to $60 for two people. It would, they'd add this and that, like a lot of different things. But I'm like, okay, let me just look at this from a different perspective. This chicken breast, this rice that I have, like, literally ends up being dollars, right? Which is awesome, because like, we all need to eat. We all need to make the right choices. And when you do it right, it can be reasonable, right? And I have so many other different tips, but like, when you go to the grocery store, go in with a list. Like, don't be tempted by any of the marketing. Like, don't go in and buy any of the extra nonsense. Like, you can definitely just make the right choices. And even with that, utilize a lot of the other free options, right? Like, even walking as an example, we always talk about it. There's just so many great health things that we can do that are also very reasonable as well. You go out for a daily walk for 60 minutes a day. All you need is your running shoes, and you just feel good, right? Like, there's a lot of different things out there. And I see a lot of people who will say, oh, well, it's stressful. My job is demanding, I have a lot on the plate. I'm paycheck to paycheck. And then they'll just kind of say, well, I can't do any of this. What's the point? And then you end up going down this cycle of just like, okay, well, once again, like, buying these, you don't have time. So then you end up doing the Order Eats. Like, you just go down this circle of just like misery, of feeling bad for yourself, of feeling defeated. You feel kind of broke. And then you're just like, you go down this bad path. And I see it happen so often. Instead, you say, hey, let me just sit down and ask myself, what do I prioritize? And going back to it, once again, still hard for me to say. When I sit down, I write down the things that I prioritize. Health is always number one. So I will find a way, and I'll always make it work no matter what. I believe in it. My gym membership, my healthy food, my supplements I consistently have, the coaching, the investments, everything like that, to me, will always be number one. And I just really believe it. And if you can start thinking like that, you will find a way to make it work no matter what. If it comes down to cutting out the nonsense, myself included, which I need to do, I'm going to cut it out. I don't need all this extra stuff, right? So I just want to share that last thought on there, and hopefully that helps you out.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in today. Once again, if you want your guaranteed results, you want to lose fat, gain muscle, stop struggling, DM me on Instagram saying fat loss, and I will take great care of you and get you the results you deserve. If you haven't left a review, please take 2 seconds to do it so we can grow this podcast, put out more incredible episodes just like this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace out.